All right, hey everyone, this is James Harrier from investingandtesting.com going through another resume review. This guy we've actually reviewed before. He's got a fair amount of experience, but he's showing me his updated CV. He's from the US, actually liking the red, white, and blue. And his previous CV was quite long, and didn't have very much formatting. So this is like pretty nice compared to what he previously had. I will say I always worry about what will happen when this gets printed. That's why my CV at the moment is it's formatted in a very similar way, but it's not as colorful. So I would test that myself. All right, let's go through this. So he has his name up the top. He's got quality engineering tech lead. That's great. He's got his professional skills and contact here. All this is good. I would say I would probably change these depending on the job that I was going for, at least slightly. But other than that, it's fine. He has his patent here, which is great, and his education, which is also really good. So all of that is pretty well done. I usually prefer to go for one-page CV. This is two. And what we'll do is we'll try to work out, could we remove stuff to make sure, or to make it one page, or is it good as is? The first thing is I almost always just have one sentence here. Just because I think you can say your essential, like the summary of what you do, pretty quickly. I also think, so when I'm looking at a CV, essentially what I'm looking for is something to stop me reading or something where I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And something like detail-orientated, fast learner, able to pick up new skills, technologies, and language quickly on my own and willing to take on projects from others that require maintenance is not something that I think is going to. I don't think that helps you get a job. This is buzzwords, and there's no proof to back it up. So it's just like, I feel like detailed orientated, fast learner are just very common terms that are thrown around. So I think you could completely remove that line. Self-starter and multitasker, able to work independently and develop new initiatives, have acted as the lead and manager of. See, again, I just don't think this is needed. It's essentially shown in what you've done before. And right here you can see it, lead team of 12, or leading team of 12 manual and automated testers. So we know that you've done those roles before. It's literally below. Quality engineer with 20 years experience and a passion for driving quality improvements throughout organizations, including but not limited to improving test practices within testing teams and expanding those practices in other parts of the company, e.g. developers and other teams with whom testers interact. I think this is too wordy. And again, like we're getting into pretty nitty gritty stuff here. This is a pretty good CV to go out there. But I think you could say something like quality engineer with 20 years experience, with proven results, driving quality improvements throughout organizations. I don't think the rest of this is needed. I would then talk about, experience as both a independent worker, lead, and manager of quality engineering teams. And I think that all of this is really just extra stuff that's not providing any detail. And I'm big on every sentence wowing them so they want to read the next sentence, and none of it being, oh, this is the same, so I should stop reading. But again, we're in nitty-gritty stuff here, so you can take or leave my advice. Serve as both QA tech lead for organization and product analyst for test tooling team and validating functionality of digital sportsbook on. Okay, so I don't think that you need this part. And it's also a little bit weird with the title senior test engineer and then your QA tech lead and product analyst. So this is a little bit weird to me still. I think in general in New Zealand I wouldn't put this. leading team of 12 manual and automated testers, because in general, the role that you're talking about would essentially assume that. But I've heard like QA managers in the US have like one person that's under them, so I think that's actually needed. Reduce resource needs by 75% for scaling out existing products and rolling out new ones. By automating 90% of manual test cases and other practice improvements. That's great. It's weird. It's like, I feel like that could be first, and this can essentially just be that. Because again, I think what you're most proud of should be at the top. I will say, this is so many bullet points. What is it, like 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 bullet points. And that's a lot. I feel like I'm starting to tune out after 4. And so that's why, partially why I would try to shorten it. Build and deploy test automation tools in Python, JavaScript, and deploy on AWS resources. Okay. Yeah, see, this is good because it's talking about new tech, but it's also pretty much linked to the one above. Distribute test management tools to independent remote teams to utilize and expand upon. Yeah, build testing tools to provide test data in dev test in certain environments for both automated and manual tests. This thing I think you can get rid of. Create sprints, epics. Create sprints? That sounds weird. Epics and stories for teams so that we could all carry out our work and keep aligned. So I don't think these are the ones that I'm not so sure I think you need if you're applying for a quality engineering tech lead role. Act as key liaison between finance payments. Work closely with the CTO and general managers to find. Okay, so these are all good and they're all really high level. I think if I was to get rid of some, I'd get rid of these two. And then I'd try to combine those two, potentially. And this one is a little bit like, I'm not exactly sure if this is needed. Okay. So acted as an SDET within the engineering team, developing and testing back-end applications that generate real-time auctions of out-of-house advertising spaces. So again, I don't think this is needed because it's essentially what you did here. Built supply-side simulator for pre-integration planning for a multi-dollar partnership to emulate broadcasting services. That's good. Like, I like that. That's really strong. I wish that was first. Built demand-side simulator using a Python-based AWS Lambda and Postman workspace, packaging it with Node.js tests for self-service testing by demand-side platforms. So they could see how we would evaluate their bids. Yep. So, okay, my one problem with these is that they're quite long. They're quite long and they're talking about specifics to the industry. Otherwise, I think they're good. Led internal integration testing efforts, coordinating with other teams at Intersection, I guess that's a company, both locally and remotely. So this is good because really you haven't talked about I guess you've talked about leading there, but your title isn't a lead. So I think that's good for that. Use Looker and Datadog to create views of activity of our platform and configure alerts for specific types of activities. For when specific types of activities fell below specified thresholds. Okay. I'm not so sure that this is needed for the roles that you're applying for, and it doesn't give me very much context as to whether it would be useful for my organization. So that's potentially something that could go. Quality engineering architect, helping to modernize testing methodology within retirement technology in Prudential. Yeah, I feel like every single time you essentially write out your role again. Developed Java-based BDD framework so feature files can account for complex set of inputs and validation points. Worked closely with product and development to develop language of feature files that will work for each stage of SDLC. Improve, yeah. Now let's finish this up and improve both unit testing, functional automation, leveraging service level testing for versioning SOAP UI tests. Evangelize quality throughout the organization. Work towards training. Working towards? I'm not exactly sure. That doesn't read exactly right to me. Work towards training quality assurance analysts to become quality engineers. And ensuring quality engineering drives manages all aspects of functional and non-functional testing. That's good. Other than I'm still not sure about that. Traveled regularly to Scranton to help spread the transformation from QA to quality engineers. I don't think that's needed. And yeah, so this one I feel like is a little bit lighter than the others. This is great, but you're not really talking about how many tests you developed. And I feel like this will go over the head of a lot of people. I think, so one piece of advice that I'd have for you is, who do you think is going to be reviewing your CV? And do you think that this will be impressive to them? Because if you're going through recruiters, they won't really know what this is. They're looking for Selenium, WebDriver, probably stuff that you I guess you've got it there. Postman, Rest Assured, they're looking for those keywords. If you think it's going to be a QA manager, then are they going to know what feature files are? Are they going to know, what else have you got here? Worked closely with product development to develop language of. So I would usually call this a DSL, domain specific language. And I was actually looking for that in your, well, please go away highlighting. That's annoying. Okay. But you haven't used that, so that's actually good. But I'm slightly worried that some of this is not going to hit with the audience of the of your CV. So let's finish this up though. Hands-on manager leading separate teams locally and remotely to deliver products for both Northwestern Mutual and you don't actually have the companies here anymore. I wonder if you've redacted that for me. I would have the company. Is that why you've each time put that it's for Prudential? Yeah, see, I think that you should say Prudential here. I don't even think that, this doesn't need to be where you did it, I don't think. I think this should be the company, or you should put the company up there. Anyway, develop Dockerized BDD frameworks. Again, I think you're missing the outcomes from these. Tested products used by insurance field representatives. Yeah, see, that's just expected from your job, I think, and is not providing a lot of benefit. Travel regularly to meet with my direct reports as well as developers, and stakeholders. I think this is more important in a QA manager role because it's showing that you're prepared to, get your hands dirty, learned back-end mainframe systems from where data is migrating to in the cloud exercising services and executing queries for data that is being populated on the front. Okay. This part is a little bit weird for me because for a QA manager, you're talking more about what your testing activities were. And you've actually got more of how you changed testing up here, and this is more, I tested stuff, and that's great, but you're just saying tested, and I'm starting to be like, I should stop reading the CV now. Because it's less, if you're doing the job of a QA manager, or let's say this was tester, I would expect that you tested things. I'm looking for the high points of your work there in each of these bullet points. Okay, hands-on leading separate teams locally and remotely to deliver products for Edge. I don't love the fact that these are the exact same pretty much. Also, potentially up here, you could say that you're comfortable working with remote teams, which I think is a big plus and something that people are looking for. Manage teams testing using ticket plant applications. Okay, this is good. Manage team and took part in actively testing applications for data feeds from. So I think you should be talking about like this. This isn't really. This is just nothing. And it's the type of thing that makes me stop reading. Tested data feed applications via automation, replay capture tool, modifying tests to include. Again, I don't love this. I think this is just assumed, and I always worry about putting anything about replay and capture. Expanded automated testing of data feed applications for dynamic testing. Post-trade file creation and core functionality, verifying correct handling of fixed messages, failover production. This is better. Like I think this should be above this stuff. Participated in efforts by QA to improve relations with operations. So I think these two are great. Those two not so much. So for me, I think you could do essentially some pruning and some improvement with making sure that you're talking more about impacts and making sure the most important things are at the top and that it's tailored to the role that you're looking for and the people that are going to be reading it. But otherwise, I think this is a really good CV now. I would be pretty happy with this. And there's some great stuff in it. Like, I think you should have no problem getting a job. So yeah, best of luck. So for everyone else, this has been James from Investing in Testing. I hope you guys have learned something. Yeah. Keep on, I hope everyone manages to find success. Thanks.